Hi, this is Joe Chambers. Thanks for watching Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage. And don't forget to like and subscribe below. It really helps.
Phone rang one night and he said, and it was Hans Zimmer, and he's done the music for so many giant pictures like Lion King and background, different ones. He called, he says, how would you like to be the music for the bad guy in this new movie I'm doing? And I says, well, I don't know. He says, you might be interested when I tell you who the bad guy is. I says, well, who is it? He says, John Travolta. I says, I'm interested. So I took my guitar and we said, I went out to California and we put my guitar on his score that he had. And it was fun. You could see the picture, John Travolta coming, walking over the hill, looking bad. And I'm going, down, 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 down. It was fun.
So I was going to ask you, didn't you get a Grammy for The Art of Noise?
Yeah, for Peter Gunn.
How did that happen?
Well, I had a friend over there in England who was having tea with Derek Green, who had a label, China Records. And on the label he had this technopop, I guess they called it, group called The Art of Noise. And my friend Eddie was sitting there with him, and Derek was saying, I got this group, but I can't break them to the mainstream. He says, they do great on the dance stuff and all that. He says, I sell quite a few records, but can't cross over to the main street. I need find somebody to put with them. So the conversation goes on. They're drinking their tea, as the British do, and in the afternoon. And Eddie mentioned, he says, guess who I talked to last night? He says, my friend Duane Eddy called me, and Derek says, that's it. Eddie says, that's what? He says, that's who I could put with The Art of Noise. He says, well, I wonder what they do, what could they do? And Eddie knows, he's thinking, I want this to happen for Duane. So he just grabbed the first thing he thought of and said, what about Peter Gunn? And I would have probably never thought of redoing it, I'd had a hit. But so they put it together, and they flew me over, and I put my guitar on the track and added a little extra to the ending and changed a little of it. And Bob's Your Uncle, that was it. We put it out, and it was a big hit, and he won a Grammy that year for Best Rock Instrumental.
I meant to ask you this sooner, but how did you get your Gretsch thing going? How did you land on the 6120?
I did this TV show, Nashville Now. It used to be on here with Ralph Emery, but he wasn't there that night, and Garrison Keillor was. And but he had both Chet Atkins, Les Paul, and then me. And he's a huge fan of Chet's, so he talked to him and interviewed him, and then he talked to Les, and he got to me, and he didn't really know what to ask me or anything. He asked me a few couple stock questions like that. So he was pausing, and I could see he was, racking his brain, and I said, Les, I said to Les Paul, I said, the first guitar I ever bought was a Les Paul Gold Top. And Les says, I never heard that. He said, I didn't know that. And Chet speaks up and he says, yeah, but Duane, tell him what you traded it in for. And then they started sniping at each other, They were going, I'm sitting in the middle, and they're yelling insults at each other that are funnier and funnier. And finally I realized, that it's getting out of hand because they're about to get maybe too gritty. And so I interrupted. I said, yeah, but let me tell you guys, I finally got to the point where I had my own signature guitar, and I had the Guild then.
The one that we have here.
The one that's here in
DFI,
the museum.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the audience applauded all that, and Garrison was able to get the show back under control from those two, and then
Was that before or after they did Chester and Lester album?
Oh, that was way after.
Yeah. Because
They did that in the 70s or 80s.
Chet got Les to playing again to come down here because Les hadn't played in a long time, and so Chet invited him down to do an album, and that's what got him back in the studio.
Maybe so. I asked Les about doing something. He says, "I'd love to, man," but he showed me his hands, and they were just gnarled. Yeah. He said, "I can play a lick," which he did. I saw his show, and up in Cleveland at Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they did a thing one night, and at a theater, and we all played songs. All these thousands of guitar players, and he was there, and he did his show with his band.
Yeah,
it was very good. And he's,
you know, his arm. They were going to take it off, from that car wreck.
Yeah.
And so they set it permanently. When the doctor said we can't take his arm off. He's a famous guitar player. So they waited and they woke him up and they said, "Look, we can take it off, or we can set it in one position. That's the way it's going to be." And he goes, "Do it like this, so I can play guitar." And that's how. And so whenever you went to shake hands with Les, that's why I'd shake your hand. Like,
I didn't. I forgot. I did hear that story, but I didn't ever think of it when I was with him. Yeah. He was a funny guy.
He was funny, and I loved him for that because I loved Chet for that too because they
both were
so funny. But I went to New York solely to see Les Paul, and he was so gracious, not just to me, I mean to everybody.
Oh yeah.
And some kids, some people won't sign anything, and they just don't do it. You're great about signing stuff for people. Les was doing great about it. I had a 53 Les Paul, so I took the pick guard off and put it in my pocket and said, maybe he might sign it for me. This is like 1994.
Of course he would.
And so I went up there, and we ended up I was sitting like here, and he was there. That was how close we were in the Fat Tuesdays. And so when he took a break, he went over to the bar, and he just, he went right to the bar and got a beer. And anybody could walk up to him, and this kid walked over there to him with a stack of Fender Strat pick guards, and Les signed every one of them. And I went, well, okay.
That was
I guess they'll sign my little Les Paul.
eBay collection.
Probably so, but he didn't care. I don't think.
No, he didn't.
And so he was
how much could a kid make?
And he was just that. He was just so cool. He wasn't so petty that he didn't. Do that. And so he was nice enough to write the same thing on mine. He wrote to everybody, keep on picking.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny, I keep on twanging.
Yeah,
on some of them,
Yeah. So, what was it like? You were so popular. You were so happening. What was it like being a TV and a movie actor?
It's fun being a rock and roll star in the 50s and the early 60s.
Yeah.
Not as much fun as I heard it became later, but they just went nuts later. But we had to always present ourselves with, nice clothing and look sharp, and couldn't have a mustache or a beard.
What did you find it easy to fall into that role of acting?
Oh, the acting, yeah. I just didn't like the hours.
A lot of waiting.
Well, you get up at 5 in the morning and you hustle down to the studio and you sit there and wait while they put all this makeup and your costume on. And you go out and if you're lucky, you get a cup of coffee. And lunch isn't until 11:30, and by that time I'm starving, Mm-hmm. And anyway, you just sit around for hours, and then they had, okay, Duane, you come up and say your line, because they set up where they want me, and they put the camera on me and the mic overhead, and I say, what'd you say? And they'd cut, and that'd be it, and they only did a line at a two at a time. Then they'd set up from another angle, and I'd say, What, and they'd be shooting from here, and I'd say, "What'd you say?" And this, takes 4 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but
Not really. Yeah.
not much.
How was Dick Clark? I mean, he was such a huge figure in American music. And you hung with him a lot, right? And you
Yeah.
were on a lot of those caravan tours, weren't you?
Oh, he didn't do those. When I did them, Irvin Feld was doing them. I only did his first one, I think.
Uh-huh.
And then I stopped doing them because I signed with RCA, and they kept me in the studio constantly. I did 9 albums in 3 years. So,
Wow.
I'm sitting in there with Glenn Campbell and James Burton and all these guys. It wasn't bad. And just making instrumental albums, trying to plan ahead.